Well, what's up again there, guys? Brian here at 3CHAR, and welcome to another solid and much longer episode of People's Questions, episode 225. We got a lot of questions from a lot of you, including a few newbies, so let's jump right into them. The first question comes from Matthew Keller, and you want to know what Marvel hero or villain best suits these actors? Nicolas Cage or Bruce Willis? Bruce Willis, I'm not really sure, but wasn't Nicolas Cage already Ghost Rider? So, yeah. Next question comes from K Carrot, and you want to know, if I were to write a script for another Star Wars trilogy, would you do the books or my own story, or simply see Lucas to see what he had pitched to Star Wars scripts to Disney? I don't know. I guess I would talk to Lucas first. I know the prequels get a bad rap, but I've gone on record several times that I really think that the story in the prequels is actually much more interesting with the fall of a hero than the redemption of the character in the original. I just think that the original handled their story a lot better. I think there was a lot of directing and maybe some questionable casting choices that really could have made the prequels something really special. And, you know, despite what people think, Episode 3 is still my favorite to this day. The next question comes from Maria Perez. You want to know, will I ever do a horror fight match involving Jason Voorhees and Michael Myers? No, not really. Because no matter how many times you kill these guys, they find a way to come back. So, yeah. So, I don't know. Maybe Jason, because he's a lot harder to take down and he's tougher, and you know he's got that giant machete, and all Michael Myers has is that butcher's knife. So, I don't know, I guess Jason Voorhees. Next question comes from Santiago Scarpini, and you want to know, what are my thoughts on Mortal Kombat 4, Deadly Alliance, Deception, and Armageddon? Oh, when we went to 3D World, oh boy. I never actually got a chance to play Mortal Kombat 4, but I did play Deadly Alliance, Deception, and Armageddon. I thought Deadly Alliance was fine. I thought it was perfectly fine. I absolutely loved the system that they had when it involved being able to switch between 3 different styles with the characters. I really wish that Mortal Kombat still had that to this day. I personally do not like it that you have to choose. I think that if we actually had the option to be able to flip with them in battle or in gameplay for the modern Mortal Kombat, I think it would be much more fluent. I think Deception, the best thing I can remember about Deception was that it had probably the best stages, because there were multiple layers and there were also weapons scattered throughout that you could use in combat, so I thought that was cool. When we got to Armageddon, I liked their attempt to add a campaign, but at that point there was just too many characters. I mean, when you have every single Mortal Kombat character, including the useless ones, I think it was just a little bit too cluttered, and I think it was an example that you really need a concentration of characters and not just put everybody in one game. I think it's just a little bit too excessive. Mortal Kombat's not really for that. Next question comes from, and apparently this is how you were meant to spell it, and your name is Hydriga B, or Hydriga Blood 881, and you want to know, the only thing I would ask is, what do you think of Big Boss or Salt Sink, and what would they think of the Jedi Order and their ideas? I think that Big Boss and Salt Snake would admire, you know, their ideas and what they stand for, but I don't think they would necessarily agree, because Big Boss and Salt Snake are all about operating from their own rules. So, you know, the Jedi Code is just a little bit too limited for them. So I don't think they would have a problem with it, but they certainly wouldn't follow it. The next question comes from, I believe, the first newbie of the episode, going by the name of Call Me Evan. So, hello, Evan. And you want to know, what do I think of Deadpool swearing and making sexual jokes in the film, but the comics have barely swearing and make sexual jokes? Well, then, Evan, you clearly have not played the video game, because he is cussing and making all types of sexual jokes all throughout that game. It is pretty crazy. I would even say that movie is probably closer to how he is in the game than the comics. But I think if you go back far enough, then you would recognize that Deadpool really was that type of character. I think it's only been in recent years in the comics that he's been kind of, well, toned down. I mean, he's been in cartoons recently, so, you know, obviously they can't have a, you know, kid showing them that, but then they want to see the movie and he's completely different. So I think that it depends on your interpretation of Deadpool and which version you've been exposed to. But from what I've known about him, he's always been that kind of foul mouth. I mean, that's why he's called the Merc with the Mouth. The next question comes from Goosh Monster, and you want to know, how do they rank the Arkham games? Oh, that's easy. Ranking them from lowest to best. Lowest would be Arkham Origins, then Arkham City, then Arkham Knight, and then the best one would obviously be Arkham Asylum, hands down. The next question comes from Matthew Mr. M. Keller. Welcome back. And he wants to know, do I think making a superhero is hard these days? What do you mean making a superhero? Like creating a brand new superhero? Yeah, I guess that if you were a new comic book creator and you want to make your own hero, I would say it'd be pretty difficult because it's hard to come up with unique powers since everybody has everything. I mean, I'm sure there's a crazy power you could come up with that a character has already been created for that purpose. The question is finding an audience for that character and making them stand out. I think that's the challenge. So I don't think so much as making a superhero is hard, but making him stand out and giving this character his own audience or their own audience would be the challenge. The next question comes from, let's see, Phil Chuck Marks, and you want to know, will I ever use a Mortal Kombat character in my versus matchups? No. I'll leave that to Screw Attack, and they've already done the one match that you really can do a Mortal Kombat character with, and that's pitting Scorpion against Ryu, which I think they handles very, very well. But yeah, I mean, if you were to use a Mortal Kombat character, the only type of characters you could put them up against would be other fighting game characters. It's the only genre of characters that it makes sense for them to fight. So, yeah, I think that's just a little bit above my rank, I would say. And the last question of the episode comes from NERO CESANA. I hope I said that right. CESANA. Yeah, I think that's better. And you want to know, what would I like to see in a Final Fantasy VIII remake? Well, that's simple. Updated graphics, maybe a better magic system since I really was not a big fan of the draw system, and probably voice actors. So those top three things I would love to see in a Final Fantasy VIII remake. Just better graphics, voice actors, and a much better magic system. And with that, those are the questions that you guys sent for this episode. I'd like to thank you guys for making this episode possible. If you guys have any more questions you'd like me to answer in next week's episode, be sure to type them in the comments down below, but make sure you get them into me before next Wednesday before I start filming this. And like always, thank you guys for watching. You're awesome, and I will see you next time.